On the morning of June 13th, 2001, the city of Omaha, Nebraska was unremarkable. It was a Wednesday, the kind of morning where the humidity hadn't quite clawed its way out of the Missouri River yet. The kind of morning where nothing happens. Jason Jolkowski was 19 years old, 6 foot 1 inch tall, 160 pounds, dark hair, brown eyes. He was, by every account, a gentle giant. A kid who still lived with his parents in the Benson neighborhood. A kid who worked part-time at a local Italian restaurant called Fazoli's, and who spent his free time playing the drums in a heavy metal band called Sinistrol. He wasn't a runaway. He wasn't troubled. He had just been on the phone with his boss the night before, confirming his shift for the next day. He was responsible, reliable, boring in the best possible way. At approximately 10:45 a.m., Jason walked out his back door. He was supposed to meet a coworker at the nearby Benson High School parking lot, a landmark less than 2 blocks from his house. The coworker was going to drive them both to work. He never made it to the parking lot. He never made it to work. And despite one of the largest missing person investigations in Nebraska history, Jason Jolkowski vanished from the face of the earth without a single trace. This is the case that breaks the rules of logic. This is the geometry of disappearance. This is the vanishing point. To understand the impossible, we have to start with the mundane. Let's reconstruct the morning. Jason woke up late. Not criminal late, but the kind of late that makes a 19-year-old rush. His car was in the shop. That is crucial. His blue 1985 Chevrolet Beretta was broken down, so he needed a ride. At 10:40 a.m., his boss, Mike, called the Jolkowski house. Jason answered. Mike asked him to come in early. The lunch rush was starting to bubble. Jason said, "No problem, I'll get a ride." He called his coworker. Let's call him John. John agreed to pick him up at the Benson High School parking lot at 11 a.m. It was the obvious meeting spot, a big, open asphalt lot that everyone in the neighborhood knew. Here is the first hard fact. The distance from Jason's back door to the Benson High parking lot is 650 feet. That is a 2-minute walk. A light jog is 45 seconds. Jason's mother, Kelly, was in the living room. She saw him leave through the back door at approximately 10:45 a.m. He was wearing a black Fazoli's t-shirt, blue jeans, and white athletic shoes. He had a baseball cap on, black with a red brim. He was carrying his wallet. He was not carrying his cell phone. Why? He told his mother he didn't want to bother with it for such a short walk. At 11 a.m. sharp, John arrived at the high school parking lot. He waited. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. No Jason. John drove around the block. He honked his horn. Nothing. He finally drove to the Jolkowski house and knocked on the door. "Jason isn't at the lot," he told Kelly. Kelly frowned. She looked outside. Jason's route was a straight line. Down the driveway, right on Bedford Avenue, left on North 66th Street. She walked outside. She called his name. The only answer was the wind. By 3 p.m., when Jason missed his second shift of the day, the family called the Omaha Police Department. But in the world of missing persons, 4 hours is nothing. Adults are allowed to disappear. They are allowed to quit their jobs, run away to California, or sit in a movie theater all day. But Kelly Jolkowski knew her son. Jason didn't even like to swear. He still used the word gosh. He called his mother every day if he was going to be late. Every single day. By midnight, the family knew. This was not a runaway. This was a rupture. This is where the Jason Jolkowski case becomes a nightmare for criminologists. Most missing persons cases leave debris. They leave a footprint, a scream heard by a neighbor, a car seen speeding away, a drop of blood, a scent trail for a dog. Jason left nothing. The Omaha PD brought in search dogs within 24 hours. The dogs were given Jason's clothing from his hamper. They went to the last known point of contact, the back door. The dogs tracked his scent down the driveway. They turned right on Bedford Avenue. They followed the sidewalk for exactly 40 yards. And then, the scent stopped. It didn't go to a car. It didn't go to a house. It simply vanished, as if Jason had been plucked off the sidewalk and lifted into the sky. The search grid expanded. Police checked every trash bin, every dumpster, every abandoned building in a 5-mile radius. The Iowa side of the Missouri River was dragged by dive teams. Nothing. They interviewed the neighbors. Benson in 2001 was a working-class neighborhood. Families, retirees, people who sit on their porches. Yet out of the dozens of houses on that route, no one saw Jason Jolkowski walk by. Not one witness.
How does a 6'1" man disappear in broad daylight on a residential street? Let's look at the timeline of impossibility. Jason left at 10:45 a.m. The walk is 2 minutes. He should have arrived at the high school by 10:47 or 10:48 a.m. He had 12 minutes to wait for his coworker. So what happened in those 12 minutes? Theory 1. The stranger abduction. This is the most feared, but statistically the rarest. It requires a predator to be driving down Bedford Avenue, spot a young man, and subdue him in broad daylight, without screaming, without a struggle, without a car door slamming loud enough for a retiree to look out the window. Theory 2. The neighbor. Someone on that block knows something. Someone offered Jason a ride. Maybe he accepted it because he was running late. But if a neighbor did this, why has no one talked? Why has the car never been found? In 20 years, why has no one cracked? Theory 3. The accidental death. A sewer grate? A construction site? In 2001, there was a nearby excavation for a new water main. But police searched those trenches. Dogs searched them. If Jason fell, they would have found him within days.
The police have always leaned toward the theory that Jason got into a car voluntarily, but that raises a horrifying question. Who did he know that he trusted enough to get into a car with at 10:48 a.m.? He wasn't expecting a ride. He was walking to a meeting point. Unless he wasn't the target. Unless the car was parked there, waiting. To date, the Jason Jolkowski case has been featured on Unsolved Mysteries, Disappeared, and The Vanishing Point. It has been picked over by the FBI, the Nebraska State Patrol, and dozens of internet sleuths. And still, there is nothing. Kelly Jolkowski, Jason's mother, did not sit idle. She became a force of nature. She founded an organization called Project Jason, which helps families of the missing navigate the bureaucratic hellscape of investigations. She created a database. She lobbied for laws. The police have always leaned toward the theory that Jason got into a car voluntarily, but that raises a horrifying question. Who did he know that he trusted enough to get into a car with at 10:48 a.m.? He wasn't expecting a ride. He was walking to a meeting point. Unless he wasn't the target. Unless the car was parked there, waiting. To date, the Jason Jolkowski case has been featured on Unsolved Mysteries, Disappeared, and The Vanishing Point. It has been picked over by the FBI, the Nebraska State Patrol, and dozens of internet sleuths. And still, there is nothing. Kelly Jolkowski, Jason's mother, did not sit idle. She became a force of nature. She founded an organization called Project Jason, which helps families of the missing navigate the bureaucratic hellscape of investigations. She created a database. She lobbied for laws. People think that if you go missing, the police just look for you. But the first 48 hours are chaos. You have to be your own detective. Kelly learned that Jason had a very small circle of friends. The heavy metal band, the Fazoli's crew. She talked to every single one of them. They all said the same thing. Jason was happy. He was excited about a new drum kit. He had no enemies. He had no secret life. He had no stalker. Except There is one detail: a ghost in the machine. Years later, a witness came forward, not in 2001, but in 2005. A woman who lived on Bedford Avenue told police that on the morning of June 13th, she saw a red pickup truck parked on the street. It was unusual because that spot was usually empty. She saw the truck idling. And then, she said, she saw a man, not Jason, get out of the truck, look around, and get back in.
The police looked into it. The woman was elderly. Her memory was fuzzy after 4 years. And by the time she came forward, the trail was ice cold. No security cameras, no license plate, no make or model. Was it a red herring? Or was it the only glimpse of the predator we have? Let's look at the psychology. If Jason was lured, the lure had to be immediate. It had to be a person of authority or a person with a crisis. Hey, Jason, my car broke down. Can you help me? Or, your mom sent me to pick you up. She changed the meeting spot. Jason had a developmental delay. Some reports say he had the social maturity of a 14-year-old. He was trusting. He was polite. He was the perfect victim for a conversational predator. But again, broad daylight. No witnesses, no body, no weapon, no motive. This is the wall, and no one has ever climbed it.
24 years have passed. Jason Jolkowski would be 43 years old now. He might have gray in his beard. He might have kids. He might be a drummer in a dad rock band. But statistically, we know the truth. Long-term missing persons who vanish without a trace, without financial activity, without cell phone use, they are not living a new life in Cabo. The data is cruel. They are almost always deceased within 3 miles of their last known location. The 3-mile radius from the Jolkowski house includes the Missouri River. It includes abandoned rail yards. It includes the Omaha landfill, which was active in 2001. But searches of the river have been done half a dozen times. Landfill searches are nearly impossible. They would require sifting through years of compacted trash the size of a football field. In 2017, a YouTuber with ground-penetrating radar scanned a wooded lot near Benson High School. He found an anomaly, a soil disturbance. The police came. They dug. They found an old septic tank. Not Jason.
Every lead turns to dust. There is one final theory: the wrong place, wrong time theory. Some investigators whisper that Jason might have witnessed something he shouldn't have. A drug deal, a domestic dispute. But in that quiet, residential neighborhood at 10:45 a.m., the only drug deal happening at that hour is a senior citizen picking up their prescription. The Jason Jolkowski case is not a mystery because it is complex. It is a mystery because it is simple. A young man walked out his back door. The planet swallowed him. There is no conspiracy. There is no alien abduction. There is just the gap. The negative space between 10:45 a.m. and 11 a.m. A 15-minute window that...
The Omaha Police Department still considers this an open investigation. If you are watching this and you know something, anything about a red pickup truck, about a strange noise on Bedford Avenue, about a man who stopped acting right after June 13th, 2001, you are the only person who can close the geometry of this nightmare. Because somewhere out there, in the vast, flat plains of Nebraska, or in the deep, cold mud of the river, or in the memory of a killer who thinks they got away with it, Jason Jolkowski is waiting to be found. The walk is 650 feet. It takes 2 minutes. And somewhere in that 2 minutes, the world broke. This is the vanishing point.